All right, and then we can save this. All right, so now we have our simulation saved so that we can mess around with it. Like I said, right now it just has a generic controller, so it's not really going to do much. Well, actually, it's got the void control objects right now. So, just a little bit about this robot. You just click on here, his name. Here's how you change the controllers. And then it's got some cameras, some ground sensors. And we go to optional rendering. And when you go to view optional rendering, it will show you um, what different sensors. So if you click on the show sensors, we can get a nice good picture of it. So you see the spoken wheel pattern thing here? That shows you where the sensors are and where they look. Let's see if we can there we go. You can see that a little bit better. You can see it pretty decently here. So that's one type of sensors that you can actually add to this robot. Um, you can go to optional rendering and unclick that and go back into it, and then you can show where the camera is if you attach a camera to it. Although I've already seen a camera attached to a specific uh, robot. A lot of times it really does not need it. And then you can kind of play around with it. The distance sensors. You can see that a little bit better on the white background. Again, you have a kind of a spoke pattern. You'll notice you have a little bit more in the front and then just a couple back. So you can play around with it and then see what we get. And just like any other object, you can click on here, just shift, move it around. If you right click it, it's really just kind of part of the scenery as one object. It kind of all moves in unison, unless, of course, you shift click it and then right click it and shift, and then you can move the robot around a little bit more. Here's where we'll show where the position of the robot is. If you ever need to mess around that in the controller and trying to tell it where to go. And so if you come up here, File, New, Robot, Controller, it's just a wizard to help the controller. You can choose whatever language you wish to code it in. You can call it whatever you want. Call it New 1 to match. And you can click Finish, and it will show some basic stuff. A few things about this the robot controllers, they can get pretty complex with decision trees and other things like that. But you just have to kind of play around with it. First off, you'll notice you have to essentially import the robot in the controller. So from control import robot, and then you have to put the robot equal to itself, and then put the time step, and that's to help advance the simulation when you go. And then uh, here's the actual advancement code. And so this is just very basic, and it's really not going to do anything. Okay, so now that we have our epoch controller, we want to start giving some directionality because as you saw before, it kind of just turned whatever way it really kind of just wanted to. So we're going to kind of zoom in a little bit, and then we're going to, there's some pre-done code, and basically, again, you have to call the robot, then you have to give the left and right motors because there's, this is the epoch, so there's one motor, there's the other wheel, and so each wheel moves independently. And so you have to name them left and right. You have to make sure their positions are set properly. You have to have a float. And then you want to set how fast they go. and then you want to advance the time step. So once that's done, we can hit play, and as the simulation goes, you can see the robot now goes in a straight direction. And because we have not changed anything, it's just going to go straight ahead and hit any obstacles in its course. So next, why don't we add some sensors? And so basically we have some proximity sensors, and we have to list them, and you can kind of label with that whatever you kind of want to, but just PS for the sensors, and then you have your loop, and then you have your sensors equal to the get device, and so you have that named. You also want to enable in the time step, and then you have to append to the sensors. And again, under the obstacle, you have to kind of label it a value, and whatever value you label it, it will then kind of activate. Um, and when this happens, it will then activate either the left or the right, and you'll increase either the left speed or the right speed, or they'll decrease the left or keep the right the same, or they'll be similar. And so now that we have added our proximity sensors, we're now going to see if it works. And so it's going in a straight line, and hopefully it should turn to avoid the obstacles. Now what you'll find is even if you do things correctly, something could not work correctly. And as you can see, it actually does turn, and it should continue to do the same throughout. All right, and now it's going to the wall, and we'll see if it does. Yep, it does stop, and it does turn. And of course, you can affect the rate of turn. You can affect how much it turns. You can change. You can make it do a 180. Um, it appears to be working. So there you have a simple robotic controller, which goes and avoids obstacles. Now, let's say, what if we were to um, change the speed a bit quicker? Make everything. No. And you have to kind of save it, and then we'll restart. And now let's see what happens. And I would encourage you, if you like into this stuff, just to kind of mess around with stuff to see exactly what it does. So you can understand how things will change on the robot. Alright, so that worked. And there's not a whole heck of a lot of change. Now what happens then when we say offset it? Now let's see what we think will happen. Will it turn to abruptly? Will it turn in time? Let's find out. And again, it doesn't seem like it's going to be affecting the robot too much. I see some of the angles at which it changes, um, kind of where it goes, will change a little bit as you change the speed of the velocity. There will be a point in time where it can actually spin a little bit too quickly. And as you can see, it no longer goes towards this object here just because of the speed of turn. And so this is an example of adding sensors and, of course, a logic loop to your controller. Thank you very much for watching.